From gains in Chicago soy oil, Malaysian palm oil, and global crude oil prices. The January canola contract jumps $11.90 at $699 per ton, and the March contract advances $11 at $707 per ton. Meanwhile, European rapeseed, Chicago soybeans, and soy meal are to the downside. Ahead of the long weekend, traders are looking to square their positions. The ICE canola market will be closed on Monday to mark Remembrance Day. Canola crush margins swing higher, with the November-December position now more than $252 per ton above futures. The Canadian Grain Commission reports for the week ending November 5th that producer deliveries of canola at nearly 292,000 tons are slightly higher than those the previous week. Meanwhile, canola exports tumble to 67,800 tons, and domestic usage falls to about 189,000 tons. The United States Department of Agriculture is maintaining its call on Canadian canola production for 2023-24 at 17.8 million tons. Stat Canada says canola output is about 17.4 million tons, pending its survey-based production report on December 4th. The Canadian dollar is lower on Friday morning, with the loonie at 72.29 US cents compared to Thursday's close of 72.56. The Buenos Aires Grain Exchange reports just over 6% of the soybeans are planted in Argentina, about half of the average pace. France says its wheat crop is 2/3 planted, well behind its average pace of 83%. Ukraine says its total harvest for 2023 is about 71.5 million tons. Meanwhile, freight rates through its Black Sea corridor are up $20 per short ton following the missile strike on a civilian vessel. Rounding off prices at the Chicago Board of Trade, soybean futures are lower on Friday morning. The January contract falls 3.5 cents at $13.40 per bushel. December soy meal is down $3.20 at $446.70 per short ton. Meanwhile, December soy oil rises about 0.7 cents at 51.16 cents per pound. Corn is lower as its December contract gives up a nickel at $4.63 per bushel. Oats are down as well, with its December contract losing 4 cents at $3.29. The U.S. wheat complex is following suit as Chicago December dips 1/4 cent at $5.80.5. Kansas City December sheds 3/4 cent at $6.47, and Minneapolis December is down 3.5 cents at $7.31. That's a look at the ICE futures and the Chicago markets for Friday morning, November 10th. For MarketsFarm.com in Winnipeg, I'm Glenn Halleck.
Equip yourself with the best deals of the year during New Holland's Value Bonanza, going on now at Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John. Get 0% financing for 60 months or choose big cash back on select mid-range tractors, including Workmaster Utility, Power Star, and T5 and TS6 models. Whatever the task, these versatile tractors get the job done. Work smarter with year-end Value Bonanza savings at Butler Farm Equipment in Fort St. John. Stop in today. Offer ends December 31st.
For commercial use only, customer participation subject to credit qualification and CNH Industrial Capital Canada Ltd approval. Standard terms, conditions, and other restrictions apply. Down payment may be required.
The opinions expressed during this show do not represent those of this station. If you've missed any of this show, you can follow the podcast at energeticcity.ca. Now, an in-depth look at the news and information shaping our community. This is Moose Talks with your host, Doug Craig, on Moose FM.
Good morning and welcome to the show. A little later on, we're going to be sitting down with Fort St. John Senior Flyers head coach Craig Faulkner to talk about how the season is going so far for the club and for the new bench boss. But first, have you heard of a men's shed? Well, I hadn't heard about one until a few days ago when it was announced that this new initiative, which already exists in cities across BC and really across the world in lots of places, is coming to Fort St. John. So to find out more about men's sheds and why they're important, we're joined now by the person who's leading the charge to bring a men's shed to Fort St. John, Troy Romanow. Welcome to Moose Talks. Thank you for being here today.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm really appreciative of the time you're taking with us today. So let's talk first about a men's shed, sort of as the concept, even how it appears in other cities in BC. What is it? What is it about?
Primarily, it's an idea. It's about men's health and men's well-being. Mm-hmm. It starts off with coffees and has blossomed into different places to have permanent structures where fellas are getting together and doing community services, picnic tables, community gardens. anything that requires some attention from some fellas with a little experience and know-how and some patience and some love, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I a part of me wants to call it a social group, but that seems to me not kind of really enough of what it's about, because what I read, I mean, there's some that they get together, as you say, they do community projects. There's mentorship involved.
Correct.
Men learn about woodworking and crafting and stuff from each other. But it's also about, can we talk a bit about kind of the things going on in our lives that maybe isn't therapy, but nonetheless might be therapeutic for men?
You nailed it. You nailed it right there. It's not a place of therapy, but it is a therapeutic place. Simply put, I think men have an easier time discussing some of our really, really tough issues with other men. And same goes for women. There's some things that are easier spoken to with other women than there is with men. And you just need that extra little bit of understanding to help you to go through that barrier so you can get those things out. It's talking about things, talking about your issues, your stresses, your challenges, that help you to overcome those stresses and challenges. Only by getting it out is it no longer bottled in, you know? So that's where it is for me. I've seen too many of my friends pass away here in Fort St. John from the opiate overdose crisis. Too many people have died from fentanyl overdose. Too many guys have died from alcohol poisoning. It's time to stop. And I've known for years that we've needed a men's group in Fort St. John. The Women's Resource Center has done fantastic work for, I believe, decades now. They're in their third decade or something here doing work in Fort St. John. Those women down there have been kicking butt for 20 plus years, man. And it's time we did the same for the fellas. And they try to help us out. They give us a day every Wednesday, but they have so much to do that it's time to help them out by helping ourselves. And that means a men's resource center at the end of the day. It's going to start with the men's shed. That's the tip of the iceberg for me. So we're going to go from there.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the shed.
Now, I wanted to talk to you a bit about, I mean, before we went on the air here, you were telling me a bit about your journey, because this is just a step, right? It's not like you've come out of nowhere to see this problem. As you mentioned, you've seen a lot of people, you've known a lot of people who've passed away during this opioid crisis. Tell me a bit about arriving to this moment today, because you've done some really interesting things in the community in order to try to help people and men who are dealing with addiction, who are dealing with opioids, who don't know how to deal with their mental health in a way.
2015, my dad, Troy Romanow, passed away June the 7th, 2015.
Yeah.
My dad served the province of BC for 51 and a half years as a project supervisor. Paved highways everywhere from Hyder, Alaska down to Souk, BC. Like,
wow.
Yeah, we were all over the place. Consequently, Fort St. John, since 1999, has been my home, which is, ironically, the longest place I've ever lived anywhere in the province of British Columbia. After Dad passed, my depression kicked in hard.
Yeah.
Really hard. And with that, consequently, came my addiction. I was in a really bad, dark place. Really dark. Like no light whatsoever. And so I was out on the street selling drugs to feed my addiction.
Yeah.
I got busted in 2016 in the March sweep. And that was the first year that the province of BC announced about the opiate overdose crisis in British Columbia. And I think we lost 680 folks that first year. Year before last, I don't know the numbers for last year, but the year before, I think it was 2,500 folks we lost in BC alone.
Yeah.
And obviously, COVID didn't help that. But so 2018, I was sentenced in court here in BC Supreme Court in Fort St. John. The judge was a really... Judge Thomas is a super judge. And she recognized that I wasn't doing what I was doing because I didn't care about the world or anything. I just didn't care about myself. I was in a dark place. There's been almost 2 decades since the last time I had a run-in with the law. So she put me on probation and told me, Troy, you need to start doing something that's opiate fentanyl related as for your community service. And that's where it started off, was in January 2019. I was supposed to do 65 hours of community service. I've probably come 100 times more than that since then. I can't stop anymore. Even today, I'm homeless. I am staying at the Salvation Army shelter. Pardon me. And I'm sitting here talking to you today about a men's shed, walking around, handing out posters for the meeting. That's Thursday the 16th at the Pomeroy Sports Center at 2:30, I believe, and let's say 2 o'clock just to be safe. And but we're going to start with that. And for me, that journey included the Northern Sun Helpers, which was a nonprofit society where we did a Sunday lunch program. We did 100 lunches, served well over 4,000 servings to folks. Right? But I noticed easily 70% of the people we were helping were male. And most of them single men. And almost all of them addicted in one way, shape, or form. And that told me something right there. And I saw what was going on with Amanda and Anita and all the ladies down at the Women's Resource Center, Melody and them. The work that they were doing, how much they were helping. They've even helped my family, my ex and myself, in so many different ways that I couldn't help but feel that was the way to go. That Fort St. John now needs a men's resource center. It's time. It's time. So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to start with the men's shed. We'll get guys together. We'll get the community guys together. We'll all sit down. We'll coffee up. We'll donut up. And we'll put our brains together over sugar and caffeine, right? And we'll come up with a solution, one way, shape, or form. I know it's going to happen.
Yeah. What I've found is it seems like the men's shed is very locally community driven in that how it looks in one town. Like I think there's 2 groups coming to present at this meeting to talk about their experience. Fraser Lake, I think, and Mackenzie or
correct.
Something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But how it looks there is not necessarily exactly how it's going to look here. It depends on what you want to do and what sort of the people who start coming, what they kind of want to do with their
just
time,
as you and I are individuals, every community is an individual. You know what I mean? And so each shed with its community members, they formulate that perspective that is for that community. And as we all live in places for years and years and then decades and sometimes lifetimes, we know and understand and respect that community and of course come to love it. So if I was only concerned about my addiction, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. And I'm not. My whole thing is that I just don't want anybody to lose their life over feeling the way that I have felt in the past and going to the addiction, to the substance, to eliminate that pain. And I completely understand how that works. Self-medicating is something I have done, continue to do at times, but I completely understand. And to me, it's a survival tactic. Simply put, that you need to kill the pain now so that you can make it till tomorrow. So when I looked at all this, I come to understand that, the journey is not about making it to the treatment center. It's about surviving the journey, because people don't die of substance use when they're, for the most part, at treatment. It's rare, it happens, but for the most part, it's on the journey to treatment. And it doesn't matter how, if you don't get there and you're dead, what's the sense? Right? It's all for naught. So we need to do that now. We have a beautiful community here. We have great people at Port St. John. There's a lot of really community-minded people in this city that care a lot. There's a lot of folks that have lost folks, and you yourself may know folks that have substance use issues. You may know people that have passed because of the crisis. And I ask anyone that has that memory, that knows somebody that's gone or is in that position, just think about that for a second. That once that person's gone, and they're gone, period, forever. We can never ask them how they feel. We can never get them to treatment. We can never take them to detox. Never have another supper with them. You'll never have another coffee or donut with that person ever again, because they're gone. So it doesn't matter about the end. It only matters about the journey to me. Survive the journey. We'll make it to the end. That's my goal. The men's shed is one of those stops on that journey for me. That's where I'm at. So I'm going to start with the shed.
All right, Troy.
Yeah.
Well, tell us again the first meeting. When, where is it happening? What is sort of the meeting going to be about?
Okay, so the meeting is going to be about getting community involvement. It is Thursday, November 16th at 2 p.m. at the Pomeroy Sports Center
Yeah.
in Fort St. John. I'm going to say 2. I think I might be mistaken. I'm sorry. It might be 2:30.
2 or 2:30, I think we were
Correct, but
discussing.
we were there for sure on the 16th at that time.
Yeah.
It's going to be getting community involvement, getting folks that are interested in seeing what they can bring to the table and help us out. First thing we're going to need to do is find a place to have a shed. So we need a home. That's going to be one of our first things. Then we're going to need some of the tools to provide that service to the community. So I'll be asking for donations from the community in terms of products, services, tools. If you want to send us cash to help us open the doors, I will gladly take whatever the community can send us. So I'm happy to do it. So that's where we're going to be, and just start one meeting at a time to start, and we're going to just have coffee and donuts and guys together, and we're just going to keep carrying on. By the way, half of the men's sheds in British Columbia started by women.
Wow.
Now,
There you
the
go.
reason I say that is because the men's shed was started in Australia, I believe, in the late 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And it started because a bunch of guys get into semi-retirement and retirement. Now you're sitting at home, not knowing, twiddling your thumbs, and now you've been out of the house for 30 years, and your wife's sitting there going, well, what are you doing in my house for 8 hours? You should be out doing something.
Yeah.
So it kind of sort of came about in the terms of, one, keeping our sanity and making us feel productive, that we're still worthwhile as older men. You know what I mean? They say it's a young man's game for the world for the most part, and to a certain extent, that's true. You don't send 50-year-old men into combat. You send younger men into combat because that's the way of the world. But the older men that have survived that journey, guys that have gone through divorce, that have gone through substance use, that have gone through addiction, that have gone through death, trials, tribulations, those are the fellas we call mentors. And those are the guys that we are going to be, and I hope to bring to the table. I want fellas that have had a hard go, that have come through the other side, that have walked that trail, got thorns and stickers and scrapes and bumps and breaks, and still come out the other side and are still good guys, that are still community minded, that are still good fathers and husbands and partners. You know what I mean? Like, I want the heart. I want the heart of what men are about, which is heart. Guys always kind of bury that down a little bit. We bury our feelings a little bit because, there's a difference between being a heartful man and an emotional man, I think, and being heartful and heartfelt in your community is a really big bonus for the community. By the way, every single time a men's shed comes to a community, suicide rate goes down for males.
Wow.
It is absolutely an indisputable fact. Northern Health, and they try real hard, the Northern Health Authority has the highest per capita percentage of opiate overdoses in the province of British Columbia. We are the hardest hit area right now in the province. Okay, anything that we do in this city is going to do nothing but help out. Every single thing that we do. But we're a rural community, and we're very far away from Vancouver and Victoria. We have, limited transportation and things of that nature. So it boils back down to the heart of the community, and that's where Fort St. John's strength lies. It's heart. It's got a big, strong heart.
All right. Well, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but Troy, again, November 16th, 2 or 2:30 at the Pomeroy Sports Center. The first meeting sort of the Men's Shed Fort St. John group. Come by if you've got something to offer. Come by if you have questions, if you want to know more, if you want to get involved, you don't know how to get involved. Come by, find out more. It's going to be a great meeting.
Absolutely. We have some good community folks. Edward Stanford from Urban Systems is going to come by. I've invited MLA Mr. Davies. I'm going to go talk to Mr. Zimmer right here shortly after I'm done with you. And Mayor Hanson, I haven't got a commitment yet, but I'm going to be making the invite again for the mayor to come by. And anybody in the city that has on the city councilors, please come by. I need your help. We need your help.
All right, Troy. It was lovely to meet you. I look forward to us having more of these conversations as things go along. Thank you so much for taking some time this morning with us.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the support of the Moose.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. That's Troy Romanow with the Men's Shed, Fort St. John. We'll be right back to talk all about the Fort St. John Senior Flyers with head coach Craig Faulkner right after this on the Moose.
Committed to their people, to exceptional service, and to the environment. That's what you can expect from Trican Well Service. As the leader in energy services and the largest pressure pumping service company in Canada, Trican Well Service focuses on providing industry-leading value for the oil and gas industry in Western Canada with specialized services including fracturing, cementing, and coiled tubing. Trican Well Service, sustainable service solutions. To learn more, visit tricanwellservice.com.
I can't believe it's that time of year already. What's on your shopping list?
I don't know. I feel like I give the same things every year, and I'm tired of shipping costs and packages getting stolen from my front door.
If you want gifts that are exciting, you should shop local. Plus, you'll be helping the community by supporting small businesses.
That sounds great, but where do I start?
You should check out the Bold Promotions Holiday Gift Guide.
Wow, there are so many ways to shop local. I can't wait to get started.
Be bold with your gifts this holiday season with the Bold Promotions Holiday Gift Guide. You'll receive a list of awesome local businesses and artisans for you to shop with, all located in our region. The gift guide is 100% free and will land in your inbox on November 20th. Right now, we are accepting submissions for businesses and artisans to be added to the guide. Go to energeticcity.ca/gift guide to find out more. Let's shop small this holiday season and support our community.
Hi, this is Dan Holtman, General Manager at Murray GM. If you've driven by Murray GM lately, you'll notice things are starting to fill up again. This is the most inventory we've had in the past 3 years. Plan your next road trip in luxury with the Chevrolet Tahoe, Suburban, or Yukon Denali. Available and in stock now at Murray GM. Half-ton trucks are back as well. Murray GM has a great selection of Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierras. Not to mention 0.99 financing on all half-ton Sierra and Silverado. Inventory is back and available now at murraygmc.com.
Hey, it's Crystal from the Fort St. John Co-op. We are hiring. If you're looking for a fun place to work with great advancement opportunities, Fort St. John Co-op would love to hear from you. We are currently hiring for our convenience store on 100th Street. Find the job posting at indeed.ca. Fort St. John Co-op, you're at home here.
Do you know that Humpty's Big Plate Diner has a schnitzel extravaganza on right now?
Yes, I was the one who told you about it.
Well, I had some and it was awesome. I wish I could have schnitzel for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day.
At Humpty's, you can get all the schnitzel you want, anytime. There's even a 3-egg Rise and Shine breakfast with schnitzel.
See you later. I'm going to Humpty's.
Humpty's, home of the delicious made-from-scratch meals, including schnitzel.
Watch this show live on Facebook or download the podcast at energeticcity.ca.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Dub Craig. Now we're here to talk about the Fort St. John Senior Flyers. They've returned this season after having a few years hiatus due to COVID and a lack of players right before the COVID pandemic. And here to talk a bit about the season so far, which is very young, we're joined now by the first-year head coach of the club, Craig Faulkner. Craig, welcome to Moose Talks.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Did I get your name right there? Was it close anyway?
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
Thank you. Let's first talk about this new gig. I mean, you've been a coach since you were just saying kind of 2018, which really in that span is only 2 seasons as an assistant coach. How's the new gig going for you so far?
It's really good. It's I'm very pleased to be able to work with the other coach, Wilf Noof, who's also co-coach with myself, and Eric Nystrik, where the three of us are coming together here at the beginning of the season and figuring out what we need to work on and what we need to improve on. And the three of us collaborating together has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How did I mean, it's sort of sad we weren't able to catch up before now, but just training camp in general, how were things looking there in terms of getting, players back and all that good stuff this season?
To be completely honest, the first night there being, I think it was October 4th, we didn't have the turnout that was quite expected, so it was a bit of a letdown, to be completely honest with you there. The following Wednesday, we were much better, had a better turnout, and it's improving week by week here.
Oh, okay.
So
that's good.
Realistically, it is a working man's league, so it is challenging,
to
say the least, to consistently get guys showing up for practice and getting for games as well sometimes. But training camp overall was good. There was a lot that we had to work on, which we kind of slowed things down and started right at the basics again and just trying to build what the system that Fort St. John Flyers are wanting to play and gelling together as a group and coming together, and which is huge, right? That's one of the bigger important things when it comes to the hockey team, especially for us. We have close to 30 players that end up coming out, which 15 of them are brand new and 15 of them are second year guys. So there's still lots to work on.
Yeah. And I mean, you bring up a very good point about this league, a working man's, league, really. You go to Manning tonight, for example.
Yes.
How long's the drive to Manning?
So it's about almost 3 hours, give
Okay.
or take, on road conditions. So the bus today will be leaving at 3:30. Unfortunately, it's one of the games that I won't miss too many, but tonight I'll end up missing. Just I have prior commitments to a family friend that's retiring from work for 35 years. Doug Sather. Just shout out to him. Congratulations. So that was a prior commitment that I'd signed up for and happy to be a part of. So I'll miss tonight, but like I said, the other coaching staff will have the boys ready to go, and it sounds like we got a full roster heading the bus trip tonight.
Great.
So yeah.
But I could see that being a challenge. Like, hey, fellas, can you leave work early to join us on this
And
road
that's just
game
it.
to Manning?
Even from day one, we've always preached, and this is well before my time, the Fort St. John Flyers, coming from Paul Van Nostrom's preaching that it's family first, work second, Flyers third. And that's a mentality that we want to keep. Can be difficult to get a lineup sometimes, especially on the road. But once again, you want to make sure you have enough guys on the roster so when guys are dropping out, whether it be to work, family, sickness, or injuries, that we have guys that are able to fill in and play.
Mm-hmm. What do you think's been the biggest difference for you coming from being an assistant coach to being now sort of the head coach in terms of even what your job duties really are?
Yeah, it's big. Phil's just big shoes to fill coming from Andrew Larige there, who's had quite a lot of success with the Flyers going back in many years in his time. I think the hardest part is just trying to get the team buy-in from the guys. Like it's going to be a different system this year. We're going to run a little differently. Once again, we got new players that you're trying to gel together as a group and get that team camaraderie is one of the big things where. Fortunate for us this year, we're not lacking. That's one of the things that we're really excited about is that team camaraderie. Like we're only a month into the season. We're gelling together as a group. Guys are enjoying their time together, and that's the biggest thing. You can't teach that. You can't teach the respect in the locker room that guys will have for one another and show it on the ice and want to play for one another. That comes naturally, and for us as a coaching staff, we wanted to address that right off the beginning of training camp, that everybody is here. Everybody brings something to the table, whether you're a top six forward or a guy on the outside looking in. You're part of the team, and that team needs to be gelling and going forward together as a unit, and that's what we're working on.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about the season so far. I mean, you've already touched on it. In terms of season play, I think you're 2-1, so you did have the overtime loss to get a point there. Or a shootout loss, I suppose it was. But two of those games, you were right in it. Like I think you were up 2-1 after 2 against one of those teams that lost 3-2. The other one was a close one, 4-0 from Spirit River. But, I mean, you're in these games. So what do you think, working with this team, what happens to push them over the top where the bounces suddenly make it 3-2 for you instead of the other guys?
I think a lot of it, like you touched base on, so where you're to start the season, we're 3 games in, the first game being the home game against Valley, up 2-0 for a lot of the game, up 2-1 going into the third period. We ended up getting in some penalty trouble there, which didn't help us out, and they played a really good road game. They were pushing us all the way. For us, it was a first game really as a unit together besides the exhibition games.
Yeah.
So it will come. For that one, that was a tough one because we had it in the driver's seat and we gave it up, right? We play too much. We find that we're playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Yeah.
And that's where we're trying to get these guys bought into. We have to play full 60 minutes. We can't be taking shifts off. And it's going to take everybody. It's not one or two guys. It's the entire unit as a group to drive us forward. The Grand Prairie game, once again, up 3-0, up 4-2 later in the third period. Got into some penalty trouble, but the positives from that is we didn't give up. We didn't lose it in regulation. We didn't lose it in overtime. We actually had the opportunity to win it here late in the regulation, and come overtime we had our opportunities. And then when you throw it to a shootout, it's really anybody's game.
Yeah.
But without Gully being kicking the puck out the way he has been, those games could have easily gone a lot further the other direction. So that's something we know we need to work on as a group is biting down and having that compete, having that hunger, having the drive to really win those one-on-one battles, go up against the guys across from you and want it more. And that's what we're working on going forward. And even the Spirit River game, like, yeah, it was a tough road game. We went with the shorter bench. It was 2-0 late in the second period. They ended up scoring a goal to make it 3-0 late in the second. That was questionable for sure, but the referees ended up can't see everything, so it put it 3-0, and then it's tough fighting in the third period, being down 3-0. But our guys didn't give up. We need a little bit more pushback going into the third period in games like that, but it's coming. Yeah.
Now get on the score sheet, because I didn't see the games. I mean, exhibition, you guys got bulldozed by the Canucks. But do you think after that, were you really concerned about what you saw on the ice, or do you think that's sort of maybe even a contributing factor to when you say sometimes we're playing not to lose, because you're a little shell-shocked after what happened at Dawson Creek, even if it's exhibition?
Yeah, for sure. With the exhibition games, like, nothing take away from Dawson Creek, because they're a really good hockey team, and they've shown that for the last 5 years here. They're one of the top teams in the league, if not the top for the last 3 years, right? They're not missing a lot of guys. They had a few guys, new guys to the lineup, but for the most part, their core group guys are the same guys and have been for several years now, where all of a sudden, especially for us exhibition games, that's the first games that we've played together. We didn't have good structured practices leading up before that, because we had such a bigger turnout to training camp that we had to work on some things and make some cuts and stuff like that, where we weren't too worried, to be completely honest. Yes, it's embarrassing losing any games high digits like that, but the positives are, we know going forward we're only going to get better as a group. More practices, consistency, guys buying in, guys gelling together. That's huge, where it showed already in the first 3 games of the season that we're already getting better, and we know we need to improve on, and we will address those things come practice, and we can only go further from that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I know you're not technically going to be there, but I'm sure you'll be checking your phone lots, find out how the team's doing in Manning tonight against Comets. You're back home. I don't remember who against next weekend.
Dawson Creek on Friday.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a good one as well, and looking forward to that. And like I said, the
maybe some redemption for that shellacking.
Right? Yeah, okay. Just it. We want to have guys show up and compete, right? And we're getting there. We have a really good group of guys, good leadership group with the captain there, Austin Crosley's really pushing the things in the room. Everybody's buying in. Going back to the veteran guys like last year, Legacy stepped up big. Hildebrandt's really pushing things forward. We're adding Kale Bell to the lineup because he was away at the beginning of the season. That's going to be huge. So we have a lot of positives and a lot of excitement looking forward. And there's a lot of guys that I mentioned, and there's a lot of guys that I missed out too. But at the end of the day, as a group, we need to be better.
Awesome.
And we have a lot of improvement, but a lot of positives going forward. So we're really excited about it.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat with us today. We'll make sure we check in at least a couple more times.
You betcha. Absolutely. Appreciate it.
It's very nice to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. That's Fort St. John Senior Flyers head coach Craig Faulkner here on Moose Talks. We'll be right back to wrap things up right after this. At Moose FM, we love local. That's why we've teamed up with the Fort St. John Co-op to get vocal for local. Every Thursday morning at 9:10, we'll interview a small mom and pop shop to talk about their business, their products, and the community they serve. If you or someone you know are a business owner and would like to be featured, email reception@moosefm.ca or call 787-7100. Vocal for local on 100.1 Moose FM is brought to you by the Fort St. John Co-op. You're at home here.
22 games, 8 teams, 5 days, 1 champion. The top under-18 female hockey players from across the country come together November 5th to 11th at the Ovintiv Event Center in Dawson Creek, BC to compete for the 2023 National Women's Under-18 Championship. Tickets on sale now at the Lakeview Tix box office at the Ovintiv Event Center, online at lakeviewtix.com or by phone at 250-782-7443. Catch tomorrow's future stars today.
Warm up with a hot drink season is definitely here, and Peaceful Pages invites you to stop by their specialty coffee shop with a seating area and enjoy a good book while you sip a coffee, mocha, or pumpkin spice latte. Peaceful Pages Christian Bookstore on 101 Avenue in Fort St. John.
Moose Country weather.
It's gonna be a sunny one today. As long as those clouds clear out, we're gonna see a high of 5 degrees today, and later tonight it's gonna dip to 0. Tomorrow, sun and clouds, 5 degrees as well. On Sunday, looks like it's just going to be sunny. The high of 3 degrees, and Sunday night, the snow is coming back. The low of -5.
Our community first. This is Moose Talks with Dub Craig on Moose FM.
My thanks to our guests Troy Romanow and Craig Faulkner for joining us today. Make sure you stay up to date every morning with local news delivered straight to your inbox. You can sign up for the energeticcity.ca newsletter right now at energeticcity.ca/newsletters. You can also keep up on local municipal government politics with the Peace Politics newsletter and our events newsletter as well, delivered again straight to your inbox. Sign up now at energeticcity.ca/newsletters. That's our show today. Jordan Prentice and Trey Lopashinsky are the producers of Moose Talks. I'm Dub Craig. Be well.
Join us next Friday at 10 a.m. for another episode of Moose Talks, a weekly talk show about Fort St. John and the North Peace.